Being single can be so hard, especially if all you want is to start your vocation of marriage, be married, and start a family. That was the biggest desire of my heart, and God made me wait 9 years before I met and started dating my husband. I have quite a lot of experience in the waiting time and in that waiting season, and I know how painful that can be. Today I'm going to be sharing the 10 things I wish someone would have told me when I was waiting and I was single, because it is so hard. This is the wisdom that I wish somebody would have sat down and given me, and I think it can be very freeing, and I hope it's freeing for you. My first tip is God has you where He wants you. You have not ruined your life. I used to be so afraid that I ruined my life, that it was too late for me, and in reality, the devil wants you to be preoccupied with your past and think that you went wrong somewhere along the way. That's why you're alone and you've been forgotten and all this horrible things. But in reality, God has you where He wants you. Maybe He's trying to teach you something in this season. God has you exactly where He wants you. There is a purpose to the season of your life. Never get preoccupied or wrapped up in that this is a pointless season or it's too late for you, because that is just lies from the devil. If you are really truly called to marriage, God will open those doors for you in the right timing. I know it's hard to trust, but trust in the Lord. He has a beautiful plan for you, and He loves you more than anything. And if He hasn't put your spouse in front of you, it's because He needs to do some work on you or that person, or probably both of you in this season. My second tip is develop a stronger prayer life. I know that you might feel like you pray all the time, or you're, always growing in your faith, but lean on the Lord. Fall in love with the Lord. Give your whole life to the Lord, because at the end of the day, you're gonna need God when you're married too. Let me tell you, marriage is not easy. It's not perfect. It's not this dreamscape. I'm not trying to scare anyone, because marriage is so worth it. I love being married. It's the happiest season of my life. It's all prayers answered for me. Something I desired so badly for so long. It is so worth it. It's so worth it. But at the end of the day, I still very much need God, and you're gonna need God in your marriage. You're gonna need God for the rest of your life. Having that strong foundation with a strong relationship with the Lord will serve you so much in your marriage and serve you so much in your life. Lean on the Lord. I always say my best marriage advice to people is put God at the center of your marriage, but you can't put God at the center of your marriage if He's not the center of your life. Make sure to really develop that relationship with God. Join a Bible study, get involved in your community, serve, read the Bible, read spiritual books, do whatever it takes to help cultivate that faith for you. A relationship with the Lord is, I believe, like one of the biggest purposes of our life. But you want to remain close to Him. What's great about that is the more you grow closer with God, the more peace you will have in the waiting. My third tip is God gives you what you need. It is not fun to hear when you're like, but God, I want to meet my husband. What are you doing here? Like, you're not getting with the plan, God. I'm supposed to be married. All my friends are married. Why am I not? But God has a beautiful plan for your life. Just trusting that God's giving you what you need in each season is such a beautiful way of living. There's this Bible passage, I'll put the information right here, that talks about God sending His disciples out, and that He wanted His disciples to not have extra shoes, to not have a place planned out to stay, to not carry money with them. He wanted the disciples to literally lean perfectly on Him and trust that He would provide. When the Israelites were out in the desert, God provided for them. God provided the food they needed. Actually, the manna that God provided would taste like anything that they were desiring. God provides. God satisfied. God wants to provide for you in this season of your life. He has not forgotten you. You just have to lean on God's provision. I remember one day I was praying to God about my spouse, and I was saying, Lord, I just want to get married. I want to start my life. I want to be a mom. I want to be a wife. Please bring this person into my life so we can get going with it already. I remember God distinctly telling me to make Catholic friends. And I remember being like, God, that's not what I said. But it's so wild now having like a 360 picture, and this is it. The longer you live, the more you'll see God does amazing things in your life. This was one of those moments where God was showing me that I was living my life wrong. I did not have faithful friends. By making faithful friends, those friends introduced me to my husband. Just mind blown. That wasn't like my intention. I made these friends just thinking like, whatever, God, I'm gonna do what you told me to do. Now seeing how all that came together, that was such a huge blessing in my life, and those friends are are such good friends to us. And what's crazy about that is a lot of those friends that were single ended up meeting their spouses, and now we're all like couples friends with each other. God's hand is beautiful. God's story that he's writing for you is beautiful, and have faith in that. That kind of piggybacks off my fourth tip. Good friends are so important. You need to really be evaluating who you're surrounding yourself with, where you are spending your time. They say this and it's a cliche saying, but it's true. Show me who your friends are and I'll show you who you are. Don't say they're really fun, but I used to have friends like that all the time where I'd be making excuses about their terrible life choices and thinking that it didn't affect me. Let me tell you, your friends are your advisors. When you think about it like that, are these people that you would want to be advising you in your life? Would you want the life that your friend has? I had wonderful friends from childhood that I've stayed friends with forever, and yes, I would want them to advise my life. But I also surrounded myself with a lot of people that I absolutely would not want to advise my life, but yet I spent all my time with them. Make sure you are really being selective about the people you surround yourself with, because that is who you will become, who you will emulate. Maybe you're a little bit stronger than me, but I know me. I'm very susceptible about who I spend my time with, and I am vigilant about who I spend my time with. Things you want to look for in friends: do they encourage you? Do they inspire you to want to be a better person? Do they love the Lord? Do they follow the Lord's laws? Do they make fun of the laws of the Lord? Those are important things to look out for. My fifth tip is to learn what you love. Discover what you're passionate about, what you like. Let me tell you, this is a great season in your life. You may not think it, but this is a time in your life that God has given you to discover your talents, your gifts, your enjoyment, what you like. Cultivate those things. Trust me, when you get married and when you have kids, you don't have a lot of time for all that. Enjoy this season. Not that you don't have any time for it. I have this YouTube channel, so I do make the time, but I was able to cultivate loving making videos and editing and all that stuff before I met my husband. And I did cultivate things within myself, things we share together and things that we don't. Like, he doesn't really care for YouTube, but he's very supportive of me having a YouTube channel. I discovered I loved hiking while I was single, and my husband loves hiking, and we go outside in nature every day. We're always finding parks. We're always going on hikes. It's something we love as a family, and it's funny because we can already tell our baby loves it too. Your spouse doesn't have to like everything that you like, but it's good to know what you like so you can find things that you can enjoy together. My sixth tip is practice being authentic. I'm very ashamed to say God taught me a lesson, and I learned it the hard way, but I learned it well and I took it forward. When I was single, I went to Chicago, and I used to go out to bars a lot thinking that's where I was gonna meet my person, which was a total waste of time. I'm very anti-bar, and it's funny because my friend, who's like the most wholesome person you'll ever meet, met her husband at a bar, but it was like through a Catholic young professional group. It wasn't like they were meeting at a bar just randomly. It was through a group. So I'm not anti-bar per se, but I am anti like just clubbing and all that stuff. If you like to go dancing, I get it. I love to dance. Go have fun, but don't think that that's like a great way to meet people, because I met a lot of people in bars. I did not meet a lot of people that I would marry, and maybe I would have married them if I had gotten to know them outside the bar, but we both met each other in like a very, I'll say, toxic situation. Therefore, we really didn't get to know each other. There was no discernment, and it was just about attraction and looks, just superficiality. Met this guy in a bar in Chicago. Basically, I woke up the next day feeling like that guy met me, but he didn't meet me. He met a version of me that I'm not at all. That party girl me, that's not who I am. That's not what I'm about. That's not my values. It really disturbed me. I'm so grateful God disturbed me in this way, like really woke me up to how I was living my life, that I was living my life in two different worlds. The people I surrounded myself with didn't even know I went to church on Sunday, didn't know I loved the Lord. I was very private about my faith. I wish I wasn't. I wish that I lived my life proudly for God, but I wasn't, again, going back to that community aspect, I wasn't surrounded by faithful people. And it is so important to have those people that love the Lord that are walking with you, because it's so hard to walk alone, and you're not alone. Like, it makes you feel like, oh, you're the only one. But in reality, there are people that are walking with the Lord, and in your community, in your city, wherever you live, you just need to make it your job to find them. That helped me become more authentic. Then when I was surrounded by people, like I worked in a really secular place, because I had that cultivated group and I was so used to being authentic in myself and sharing who I was less uncomfortable being authentic in myself around people who didn't agree with me or didn't have the same values as I did. And I would talk about God, and I would talk about going to church on Sunday if people asked me what I did on the weekend. I wouldn't make it like bang it over their head that I'm going to be preaching, but I wouldn't also lie. I was very authentic. I tried to be very honest with who I am, so that when my husband met me, he actually met me. He didn't meet some version of myself that I was putting out there for the world. he was meeting the true person that I am that loves the Lord. My number 7 tip is take time to heal. I had a lot of wounds from my past. I had an eating disorder that I struggled with from the time that I was 9 to the time I was 28. For a lot of years, I felt like they were stolen because of it. But God, in his infinite mercy, can heal and restore anything. He can restore your years. Do not worry about the years that have been lost, the years that have been squandered or taken from you. Just worry about where you're at today. Try and find healing from whatever you're struggling with. It doesn't have to be as big as an eating disorder, but are you struggling with pornography, masturbation, addiction, drinking, video games, anything that's taking away from you living your life fully? Video games, drinking, those things are not inherently bad, but they can become problematic. Really searching your heart, try and identify where you need to heal, where you need to grow. Find good Christian counselors that love the Lord. I think it's so important to find a counselor that has the same belief system that you do, because I did actually have non-Catholic counselors, but it takes a lot to find a good one, and it's just very important to make sure you're vetting people out, not falling into the trap of, oh, I've had this one counseling experience, it was bad, I don't think it's for me, because you just didn't find the right person. Like, you didn't go on one date, say, oh, I didn't like that person, it's not for me, because that would be crazy. You need to date a lot of people, or date as many people as it takes to meet the right person. That's the same thing with counseling. It's sometimes it does take time to find the right counselor, but it's worth it if you find the right person that can help you overcome. And there's also tons of YouTube channels that offer resources and books and all that stuff. Tip number 8 is practicing financial independence, or work towards financial independence. I know that this can be a really stressful thing for people, is to find financial independence. It took me a really long time to be fully financially independent, but by the time I did it, it created so much pride in me. And you are totally capable of becoming financially independent. Be aware of budgeting. Be aware of where you're spending your money. It's okay, you're single. You can have some like vapid things that you put money towards, but make sure you're saving money too. Don't spend all your money, because saving money will just bless you in the future. Getting married, buying a house, having kids, all that stuff is very expensive. Having savings, learning how to budget, learning how to live with lesser than what you're making is such great skills, and there's tons of resources for that. I'll link some that I found helpful. I really liked Dave Ramsey's program. I followed it very loosely. I just followed like the rules for it, and it really helped me, and it helped me pay off $15,000 worth of credit card debt, which I'm really proud of. Something that I worked really hard for and I was able to do before I got married. My number 9 tip is love yourself. Love the person that God created you to be. I think there's like 2 different kinds of people. People who blame others and people who blame themselves. I'm definitely like very hard on myself. I'm less hard on other people, very hard on myself. I really struggled for many years to love myself and embrace the person that I was made to be. The thing is, I was made to be loved. God loves me, created me to be his daughter, and God created you to be his daughter or son. You are fully loved by God, and the right people will also fully love you, and you need to fully love you. The thing that's kind of crazy about love is really, you're only experiencing your experience of it. What I mean by that is, I don't feel my husband's love for me. I feel my love for my husband, and that's how sometimes I feel loved. Now, obviously his actions, his words, there's the 5 love languages, which you've never heard of it. It's just different ways you can experience love, and I'll link resources in the description box below. If you don't have love for yourself, it's very hard for you to believe that someone else loves you. That is sometimes even hard for me to say, because I know that's a wound that I have. I have slowly but surely been able to heal through the grace and mercy of God. I want you to fall in love with yourself. God did not make you perfect for a reason, because he doesn't want you to be perfect. You don't have to be perfect. You are loved because of your imperfections and your perfections, and the fact that you try every day, that you show up every day, and you are you. I hope that you work towards falling in love with yourself, because it is very important. My number 10 tip is that God's timing is perfect. Pray for your future spouse. It is so important. Pray every day for them. You don't understand how much your spouse needs prayer, because at the end of the day, they're human. They have things they're struggling with. I needed my husband to pray for me. I had so many years of struggle and misery, and my husband, now that I know him, needed my prayers. He still needs my prayers. So I still need his prayers. Praying is the most powerful thing in the world that you can do. Please, please, please pray for your spouse. Pray for them. Pray for God to guide you on your journey. Pray for him to guide you to make the best choices that you can be, to be the best spouse that you can be. I hope you liked this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. up and subscribe to my channel. I make videos about the Catholic faith, prayers, and devotions. If you're interested in that, then please stick around.